Hi, Maria-Ines here. I am super excited about today's videos because I'm pulling the curtain open and I'm going to talk about my own rebrand experience, the whole process, why I did it, why I didn't do it sooner, is it for everybody, lots of tips and tricks from my own experience so that you can start thinking about the process for yourself and how really it has helped my business and my own personal life. So let's get started. So the first question I want to answer is why I didn't do it before. And I have mentioned this in many other videos, but basically when I started my business, I was thinking that probably the same thing that a lot of you are thinking. And it was that, I needed a website, I needed a logo, I needed, to pick colors and fonts, etc. So I was concentrating more on the branding, so the visual part of the brand, instead of the overarching, brand strategy, the idea. And to be honest, I did not know even that this such a thing as brand strategy existed. Funny because now that's what I do. And I think partly the reason why I fell in love with it was because I wish when I started doing this, I wish I had known what I know now back then. And I don't mean this in a bad way because I don't regret anything of the process that I went before. And in fact, I sometimes tell people that, you should go on with what you have at the moment for a while, because that actually helps you to fine tune a lot of the things that eventually, once you go through this process, will actually be very clear for you because you have done a few laps around the corner, right? So I think that, it's just you go with the flow, you go where you are, and you just keep on going. But the main reason why I didn't do it was because I didn't know that this existed. I thought I was doing a good job at, creating my own logo, creating my own website, picking my own colors, picking my own fonts. And to be honest, and I have mentioned this a lot also, I took a lot of inspiration from other people. So because I didn't know any better. So question number two, why did I actually go through the process of rebranding myself? And this one is a juicy one because I think that what I'm going to say will resonate with a lot of you. I didn't feel connected with the brand as it was at the time. I felt, as I mentioned earlier, that I was really taking a lot of inspiration. And I always say this because it almost feels like I was copying other people. I mean, I was putting my content and my pictures, etc. But even like the visual aspect, how my website looked was inspiration from other people. And what was funny is that I actually don't have it anymore and I wish I would have saved it. But if you looked at my website back then, you could actually see that it was a mishmash of things. And it looked okay, but it was a mishmash of things because I was taking literally bits and pieces from other people instead of having a flow on its own because, it is what my brand would be. So that was something that I really felt like I just kept thinking like, okay, but I cannot find my style because I kept, oh, I like this, oh, I like that, oh, I like that. And I just kept adding and adding and adding and adding on top of things. So that was one thing. I felt that I was not getting the right type of clients. I was getting bargain hunters. I was getting people who were not ready for the services that I was providing. And the biggest thing for me in terms of clients was that when I was turning beautiful websites to them, I realized that there was always a gap. Like I would give them their websites, but because now I know they were not ready, they didn't have the foundational work, they didn't know what was their strength to sort of, push their brand forward. They didn't move forward. They didn't do anything. They had this beautiful website and they kept on blogging and they kept on blogging and they kept on blogging, but nothing happened. Like they would have one client every other month, but there was no momentum. There was no shift in their businesses after they worked with me. And of course, part of me, I'm going to be honest here, part of me was like, well, maybe I'm not doing a good job with their website. And I kept, studying more and learning more about websites. When in reality, now I know is that there was that gap between what it is that you are trying to put out there. What's your strength, what's your brand strength, what are you standing for, and the website, which in the end, in this case, was the end result. But there was no strategy whatsoever. So that was definitely, I really felt that I was letting my clients down with that one. So those are the three main things that I was feeling. And also, I mean, I just didn't find myself represented in even the most beautiful websites that I created. I just felt that there was something missing and that I just really wasn't representing myself to the best of my abilities, both in terms of my own personality, showing up for my business in the way that I felt comfortable and that, unapologetically being me. But also visually, I just didn't feel like my website or anything visually in my brand represented me. And I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know, you know, I was concentrating in the wrong places instead. Now, the next question is, do I think that a brand strategy process, a rebrand process is for everybody? And this is without a doubt a resounding yes. Yes, it's for everybody. It's for everybody, even if you're starting out, because one of the reasons I just mentioned that, I do believe that if you're starting out, you should go a few laps around and just test things out, figure out what may be working, what may not be working. But I also think that if you are the type of person that has already been in your line of work for a long time, so you already know, like, you already know your ideal clients, you already know what you're going to offer, you already know sort of like you have an idea, and you just need to bring it all together in a cohesive way, then you're ready for a brand, if it's the first time, or a rebrand, if you already have a brand. But definitely, the brand strategy process is for you if that is the case. Now, if you have been around the corner a couple of times and you already have a business and you already have, like a brand presence, and you're feeling a few of the things that I mentioned earlier, then definitely this is a thing that you should consider, because it will definitely help you take that brand to that next level. And not only your brand and your business, but also yourself. You will feel so much more confident in what you have to offer and how you present yourself. And that's going to transform so many other things for you. And then finally, if you have been around for many, many years and you're starting to feel like, okay, what I'm offering, I need more, like it's time for a shift, it's time for more, it's time for that next level, then it's also time to think about, okay, let's regroup, let's go through this process again and figure out how to best go to that next level of, for my business, for a strategy, for your business model maybe needs to change, et cetera, et cetera. So at any level, this is so important, because it also reconnects you with what is important with your mission and your vision in your business. So I think this is really, really something for everybody to really come. So how was the actual process? So what did I actually do? Now I'm going to start by sharing two resources that I think that are super, super helpful for anybody. The first one are these two books, and I will put the information below. They are by a woman that I adore, and her name is Fiona Humberston. And the first book is Style Your Brand. And this book is both books are super, super, super complete. I mean, I can just do a video in itself reviewing each of the books, and maybe I'll do that. But very quickly, what I wanted to say is that if you're starting out and if you have these ideas, this itchiness inside of you, but you're not sure where to start, but you're more of a newbie, then I definitely suggest this one, because this has a lot more of the foundation. Now, if you're a little bit more advanced, if you already have a brand and you find that, you still need some of that foundational information from the other book, but that you want to take your brand to that next level, then I would go for Brand Brilliance. Let me see that. There we go. It's called Brand Brilliance. And this book, aside from just being gorgeous books to just read, this one is, it takes everything from the first book to that next level. So those two books I really recommend to have for anybody. I use them a lot. I give them as gifts to some of my clients, because they're just amazing, amazing books. So definitely recommend that. And this one is actually my own notebook. It's my little Bible. And it comes actually from the work that I did with my own brand strategist, public persona, Sarah Ancalmo. Ashman, she literally transformed my business, my life, my brand, everything. I mean, I know it sounds like an exaggeration, but that woman just really transformed everything. So what I did with her, it was an 8-week program called Mirror Brand. And we went through 8 intense and very introspective weeks in which we went through things like, um, the getting started, like really starting with a foundation of what is it that you really want. Then we went through um, the basics, foundational basics, then getting to know yourself, then finding the differentiation. Then we went through strategy and story. Then we went to through the spin, which she calls it, and it's basically creating a creative concept for your brand so that you can differentiate yourself from the rest. Week 6 was brand styling, and week 7, well, we started at week 0, but so week 7 was finding your voice. And then I actually went further with her to work on my creating a brand photo shoot plan for my photo shoot. So the process itself, I have adopted and transformed my own process to actually very similar to these 2 resources that I have I have mentioned. But basically, the whole process always starts by going through, deciphering your personality, extracting your personality, and then how that can be infused into everything else that comes later. So creating your business model and creating that creative concept, finding your voice, finding your positioning, etc., etc. So one thing that I want to say about this is that it is a process, and actually I found it that the women that I did the Mirror Brand course with, and it happened also to me, and it happens to my clients, is that this is such a personal, introspective, inwards process that it takes time to assimilate, to process, and to take it all in. Actually, most of the women that did the Mirror Brand work with me, we all took almost a year until our brands were out in the world. That doesn't mean that we didn't work throughout that time. It was just that, while we put all the pieces together, it took some time. So that's really, really important for you to understand that even if I were to give you step-by-step video, this is a process and it takes time. It takes time to do and it takes time to figure out, and it takes time to actually reproduce and actually come to fruition and come to reality and come to a tangible thing, such as a website, etc., etc. So with this, what I want to say to you is that don't get discouraged. If, for example, if you buy the books and you get overwhelmed, you're like, there's too much to do. There's a lot of things that you need to take into account. But that's one of the reasons why I think it's so important for you to find somebody like me or a brand strategist that can help you, guide you through this. Because one of the things that is really important, and I should have mentioned it in the first point, is that this process is really something that you shouldn't do alone. And not only because I do it and because I know I'm good and I can help you, but also because it's such an introspective process that we are so close to ourselves that we cannot be the best judges of our skills and our trademarks and our best things, because we think that sometimes we're too harsh on ourselves and we think like, oh, that's not even good enough. Whereas if you work with somebody like me, then I can help you really extrapolate what really makes you unique, and I can help you put that into a package that eventually becomes your brand. So I think that this isn't a process that you shouldn't do alone. I do think that you can educate yourself, like giving you the resources, but it's a process that once you start understanding, okay, I get it, I get sort of the pieces, the puzzle pieces, but then go with somebody who can help you put it all together, because we are too close to ourselves. And I promise you that I even tried to do it on my own, and I was just like, okay, this is too much. And the moment I hired my brand strategist and we went through this process, everything started going falling into place. And one thing that she was so amazing at was really helping me ask the right questions to be able for me to extract the information that I needed to build up my brand.